Well, I'm back from Australia, and I can tell you we had an amazing trip. It's an amazing country, and we had a perfect time visiting Australia. I want to give a shout out to two viewers who reached out to me and we were able to meet. So Emmanuel took me around all of Sydney and took me to his favorite places, including introducing me to the meat pie. It was quite the treat. And then I met Campbell and his wife in Melbourne, and he brought me all of this Australia stuff, which was quite a treat. I'm not so sure about the Vegemite, but I love those Tim Tams, and he brought me a genuine boomerang. I'm not going to throw it here in the garage though. I also want to really thank Adam. Adam toured us around Kangaroo Island, and he knew all about the island, and he made our visit so special. And he's a Denver Nuggets fan. So Adam, if you're watching, thank you from me and the family. We really enjoyed our time with you. I did manage to visit some Harley Davidson dealers and pick up a few shirts. From Sydney to Melbourne to the Great Barrier Reef, I picked up shirts everywhere I could. Of course, I'm a Harley guy. In today's video, I want to talk about some of the common questions I get. I get a fair amount of emails these days with different questions, and I don't mind. So if you have a question, reach out. I'm always happy to answer. But I'm going to cover a few of the most common ones I get about this infotainment system. And you never know, I may throw in some other content, so stay tuned. A couple of quick points about this Madehawk adapter. So this works to eliminate the need for a headset to launch CarPlay on these new motorcycles. There's a lot of confusion here. If you're a helmet headset user, so you always ride with a helmet headset, you do not need this adapter. You don't need to purchase it for CarPlay. You just need to have your helmet headset paired to the bike. The other big question I get is, what about the older bikes, the boom system? Well, this will work with a boom system that's a CVO, because the CVOs come with the wireless headset module, so also known as the WIM module from Harley Davidson. So it'll allow you to Bluetooth pair a headset. And again, if you don't want to wear a helmet headset to access the wired CarPlay on the boom system, you can use one of these with a boom system on a CVO with the wireless headset module. So you pair this to the bike, and then you have to plug your phone into the bike via a cable in order to get wired CarPlay to launch. Because this does not convert wired CarPlay to wireless CarPlay. It only provides a headset. So you'll still need to plug in the Madehawk, and then you'll plug in your phone to the pass-through port on this adapter, and then you'll be able to launch CarPlay without having to wear a headset on a helmet with the older boom system, but only on the CVO models. If you have a non-CVO boom system, so you have a boom system bike, but it's not a CVO, or you've not purchased the wireless headset module from Harley, this won't work for you, and you don't need it. What you'll end up doing is buying a CarPlay jumper, which will activate CarPlay, but it will only support wired CarPlay. So the old boom system is wired CarPlay only. No matter what you do, it's wired CarPlay. If you really want wireless CarPlay on a boom system, you're going to have to purchase a wired to wireless CarPlay adapter, of which there are many. One of the better options, I think, is the CarLink It kit. So they have a new mini version that's really tiny and won't take up any space. It's USB-A, so it'll plug right into your bike. Then that will work well, and that will give you wireless CarPlay by pairing your iPhone to the adapter and not the bike. And then you have wireless CarPlay, and then the CarPlay jumper will activate CarPlay, and that's really the setup you need. This adapter is not going to help you on a boom system without the wireless headset module. All right, the other common question I get about this Madehawk adapter is people will say it's not working, and then I find out they're trying to use wired CarPlay. So you've connected your Apple cable to the pass-through port, and your phone shows charging, but CarPlay never launches. Well, the problem with the Madehawk adapter is it only supports data on one side of this connection. So if you're not seeing CarPlay launch, or frankly, the Android Auto box, if that's not launching either, you need to unplug this cable from your Madehawk, and then flip it over. So you actually flip this data cable to the other side and plug it in, and then you should see wired CarPlay appear, or if you're using one of these AI boxes, you should see it launch. So that is a common problem with this device, is that it only supports data on one side. And I do happen to know that there's a version 2.0 coming out of this one that will support data on both sides and will resolve that issue. That will be coming soon. So another common complaint I get about this adapter, or frankly any of these adapters, is they disconnect. So you're riding along and then CarPlay's on the screen and then it disappears. Well, unfortunately, it's very difficult to troubleshoot this, and you can't just blame it on the adapter. The challenge with CarPlay is that it uses a Wi-Fi connection from your phone to the bike. So your iPhone boots up and it does pair via Bluetooth. So it's pairing to the bike as Bluetooth. And then this headset adapter enables the icon. So as long as you have a headset adapter connected or a helmet headset connected, it will illuminate the CarPlay icon and launch CarPlay. But when you launch CarPlay, it switches from a Bluetooth connection to the phone to a Wi-Fi connection to the phone. And you'll see that. You'll see if you have your home Wi-Fi connected on your phone, that will disappear when CarPlay launches. And you'll now have a Wi-Fi connection between the bike and your iPhone. Now, you don't have to have Wi-Fi turned on the bike. If you don't like the Wi-Fi icon always showing disconnected in the lower right corner, you can turn Wi-Fi off on the bike. It'll still create that Wi-Fi connection for CarPlay on its own. So there's a lot of challenges of riding around on a motorcycle and maintaining a Wi-Fi connection between your phone and the bike. But there's also a lot of challenges maintaining a Bluetooth connection from your headset or your headset adapter to the bike. So interference, if you ride through a power line, sometimes I think the traffic signals have a lot of interference in the environment and it'll disconnect them. Now, a lot of people say, well, it works in my car. Well, you're in a metal cage that's got its own interior. So you're not as impacted by signals and power interference in the environment as you are on the motorcycle. So this is a challenge of making this work. So I would not always blame it on the Bluetooth adapter. I will have people say though, well, it works good with my helmet headset. And if you think about it, your helmet headset sits on your head. So it's out in the open air and it has a direct line of sight to the infotainment system. Your adapter is going to be in the cubby, or some of you are using adapters underneath the seat. And I frankly think the adapters that go under the seat even create more of a challenge, because now your seat's covering it and you got all of that stuff going on underneath the seat. All of those wires that are communicating and your battery sitting right there. So I think that's even more of a challenge. So the Madehawk plugs right into your cubby and gives you that pass-through port so you can still use the port, so you can charge your phone or use it as a wired CarPlay option. So there's a big advantage with this. Plus, it brings it closer to the infotainment system. But it's still in your cubby, and with the door closed, it's still sealed up, where your helmet headset is exposed in the open air with a direct line of sight to your infotainment system. Okay, what do you do if you just cannot keep your device connected? You've tried everything and nothing will work. I do have one trick that I recommend you try. So on the bike, you're going to go to the menu button, and then you're going to go up to the gear for settings, and then we'll go down to system, and then we'll go down to system info, and then we'll go down to factory reset. Now you're going to want to select factory reset, not privacy reset. Now this will reset a few things. It'll erase your trip information. It may mess with your time. You may have to set it back to GPS time, but it will clear all of the Bluetooth connections. So it resets all of your connections. So your phones, your headsets, everything disappears. And I find if you then reconnect everything, it's more reliable. I've really had good luck with it, so I recommend you try it. All right, another common question I get is the headset roll. So especially if you switch from a helmet headset back to just using speakers with no helmet headset with you, you need to change the role of your headset in Device Manager in order for CarPlay or the Android Auto adapter to work. If you end up with a headset paired as passenger, it won't see it and it won't launch CarPlay. So you need to make sure your headset is in the right role, especially if you switch from helmet to the Made-Hawk adapter. Okay, so I currently have my Boom Audio 20S connected, but if I want to go for a ride without the helmet and I want to use my Made-Hawk adapter, I need to go down and pick the Made-Hawk bypass, and then I'm going to do connect, and it'll ask you rider or passenger. So you want to make sure you have rider selected. If CarPlay will not launch, you can always go to the connected device list. This is also very important to note. Whatever is under the connected device list is what's available to you. If your headset's not working at all, it may be that it's on the paired list, like these two, but it's not in the connected list. So you need to tap on it and hit connect. In this case, my iPhone is on the connected list and my Made-Hawk is on the connected list. And if it wasn't working, I would verify the role. So you'll tap on that and you'll do change role, and it may be in passenger. And there's a visual indicator. The person in front is grayed out and the person in back is in white. And then we have the opposite here. So we're going to pick rider role. So now CarPlay will launch. But I can say this happens a lot where your headset ends up in the wrong role. Especially if you're just setting up for the first time, make sure your headset is in the rider role to get that CarPlay icon to light up. So in this scenario, I have my Made-Hawk bypass connected, but I want to change to my helmet. So I'm going to go down and pick my Boom. I'm going to do connect. Again, make sure you pick rider role. And it'll say, hey, you need a headset to use CarPlay. Well, that's because the headset just disconnected. And now the Boom has connected. And then it says, do you want to use CarPlay? Sure, why not? So then you'll get CarPlay. So now I have CarPlay through my helmet instead of the Made-Hawk bypass. So if you switch back and forth, that's how you do it. I will also say you cannot rely on that icon. Even though it's gray right now, I have everything set up. I bet it will start. So if I go tap on it, I actually get CarPlay. So in Device Manager, I have my phone connected and notice the CarPlay icon. And I also have my bypass in rider role. So we got the Bluetooth on, but I don't see the headset down here, which is really interesting, right? So I have the Made-Hawk bypass, it's in rider role, I have CarPlay, but there's no headset icon. So I've seen this where the headset icon disappears, but all is still connected. I really don't know why. Most of the time it's there. So if we go down to the phone, and we select the phone, you can see that it doesn't show CarPlay. So even though CarPlay is illuminated, we don't have CarPlay on the list. There's no Start CarPlay. But if we go now back to the main menu, you can see the CarPlay icon is lit up. So I'm going to tap on that, and there's CarPlay. So it's very inconsistent. Sometimes the screen shows the headset, sometimes it doesn't. I will say most of the time the headset's there. But when you're switching from helmet headset to adapter or adapter from helmet headset, and you're doing it without power cycling the bike, you're going to run into these issues. Another problem we'll see is the spinning while it attempts to connect CarPlay. And it'll go for a very long time, a good couple of minutes, and it'll probably connect. But if it doesn't, if it just spins forever, you have to pull over, shut the bike completely off, and turn it back on to get it to start. I don't know, they haven't quite fixed this CarPlay game, but in Harley's defense, we know in iOS 18, there's a lot of CarPlay connectivity issues. And Apple has noted this in the last couple updates. So I would make sure that your iOS is current on your iPhone, because even Apple has challenges with its CarPlay connectivity. All right, another common question I get is, how come you can't see your text messages in CarPlay? Well, part of this is Apple's fault, and part of it may be Harley's fault. I'm not quite sure. But the big challenge with text messages is Apple has moved it to Siri. So you can only have Siri read the text message to you. You can't see it on the screen where you can read it. They make Siri read it to you, and there's no way to display the message on the screen. So if I tap on messages, you can see all my messages. If I wanted to look at a message I'd already received, maybe to get an address or something out of it, if I tap on it, nothing happens. It just tries to read the message, but it doesn't display it. And it actually doesn't even read the message. It just says, what would you like to say? So if the message has already been read, you can only respond to it after you've played it the first time. So you can't see it on the screen. What a pain. Okay, well, you may say, Tom, that's great, but I can't even get it to read it to me. And that's because whether it's Harley's fault or Apple's fault, you can no longer route Siri to your speakers. It only works in the speakers of a helmet headset. So if you're using the Madehawk adapter or any other adapter, you're not going to be able to hear Siri through your speakers. It just won't play. So if you go to your menu and you go to gear and you go to sound, there's a couple ways to get here, but you do audio routing, you can see that we have music and media, speakers or headset, and prompts, speakers or headset. But Siri is not a prompt. Siri shows up as iPhone or phone. And the phone option for routing has disappeared in the recent SkyLine OS updates. So I'm thinking it may be Harley that took it off, maybe at Apple's request. I'm not really sure. But there is no longer a phone setting here, so you can't adjust where the phone routes. And unfortunately, the Siri voice, it routes through the phone and not through the prompts. Now the prompt setting is your navigation. So if you're using Apple Maps or Google Maps and CarPlay, it will route correctly. So you can have the prompts go to your headset, but the music go to your speakers or any combination thereof. But I have found no way with a headset adapter to hear the Siri voice or have Siri read my text message. It just doesn't work. So when you get a new text message in CarPlay while riding around on your bike, you'll see there you have a new message, but it won't play it. So if you tap on it, you can see it's trying to play it, but you don't hear anything, even with the sound routed to the speakers. No sound. So with the helmet headset connected to the bike, if you receive a text message in CarPlay, it'll show on the screen, and if I tap it,
Android phone said, "Can you hear me now? Would you like to reply?"
It works on the helmet headset. But if you have a Madehawk adapter or any other Bluetooth adapter, you're not going to hear it. So unfortunately, you got to use a helmet headset if you want to hear text messages from Siri using CarPlay on these new Harley Davidsons. So you may think to yourself, maybe if I got a headset adapter that had a microphone, because many of these will claim they have microphones, and they often do. It's meant for taking hands-free calls while in your car. So I thought the same thing. If the adapter actually had a microphone, would it allow the audio to route and then out through the bike speakers? So I tried this one from Ugreen. So it actually has a microphone and it connects just fine as a headset. The Madehawk does not have a microphone, but it makes no difference because even though it has a microphone, Siri is sending its response to the adapter and there's no speaker on the adapter. Because at the Harley, it will not allow us to route that outbound audio to the speakers. So again, I believe it's because Harley took out the phone option for routing. So like if you take a phone call, you can't route the person on the call to your bike speakers. Now Harley may have thought, well, why would you want to do that? So they may have just taken it out. I know it was there at one point, especially on the boom systems, it worked just fine. So I could actually take a call and they'd be coming through my speakers when I realized I had the wrong headset selected and they couldn't hear me because I had the wrong headset selected. So I know it used to work, but it doesn't anymore. So unfortunately, I see no way to get a text message to read through the speakers on your Harley. And unfortunately, from Apple's standpoint, they're not allowing you even to read it on the screen, and that's a big disappointment. So it may not be possible to get your text messages on the screen from an Apple with the Harley Davidson, but if you're an Android user, you might have better luck. Just tap play aloud.
Works great on an Android phone. Do you want to reply?
How about that? But in order to use Android Auto on one of these new Harley Davidsons, you're going to need an AI adapter box. And if you've followed my channel at all, you know I've covered all kinds of these. So speaking of Android boxes, many of you have questions about how to connect that box. And if you follow the video closely, you'll be good. But there's one point I want to draw your attention to. So when you're setting up your AI box and you go to Device Manager, it should look like this. So I have my headset connected, and then I have my smart box, and it only has the CarPlay icon. Many of you are allowing the smart box to pair to your bike as a headset. If you allow that, it'll work, right? So your smart box will pair as a headset to your bike. But that's not what you want to use it for. You want to use it for Android Auto. And you're going to need that Bluetooth connection from your Android phone to the box. So you don't want to allow it to pair as a headset. So when you're setting up the AI box, if it prompts you to pair, so you get a picture on the screen that says connect, you want to decline that. You will never see the box prompt to connect if you're using it for Android Auto. So once you have it set up, you'll never see a prompt for it to connect. It'll be there because you're using a wired connection for it. But your bike is going to continue to see it as a wireless headset. So you're going to have to hit decline every time the box up wanting to pair it. You need to decline that. And it may do it over and over and over while you're setting up the box. However, once you get your Android Auto box to boot to its interface, and then you pair your phone to the smart box, it'll stop. You'll never see that request to pair it as a headset again, and you should be fine there going forward. But this is biting a lot of people. I get it. But again, if your bike prompts to pair to your smart box, decline it. All right, so one more option for getting text messages on your Harley. You can actually just use the built-in Harley infotainment system. And the more and more I use it, the more and more I think, who needs CarPlay or Android Auto? But if you like your own navigation and you don't use the built-in Harley navigation or don't want to, it's your only choice. But if we look at my screen and I should receive a text message, you can see it appears right up there in the corner. And so then if I go to Messages through the phone icon, and then you can see there's an envelope there, so we'll tap that. You can see it shows my new message right there. If I tap on it, you can see it shows today, and look, it shows you right there the message. So you can see it, or you can tap it to hear it.
Yo, the built-in Harley system isn't that bad.
Certainly another option for you. I'm becoming a fan of the built-in stuff. It does work pretty well. The navigation falls short. I understand that. So we've got a new service bulletin this week for these new era touring models. We have M1691. This bulletin informs dealers that there's an electro-hydraulic control unit update. And this update improves the functionality of the link braking system. So when you apply the rear brake and not the front brake, the system will determine if you should also have front brake to improve your stopping power. And it'll apply the front brake along with your rear brake, even if you're only pushing the rear brake. Now it notes that at speeds greater than 32 kilometers per hour, for my Australian friends, or 20 miles per hour, the system dynamically adjusts the linking to achieve better braking balance as compared to single input braking. This update improves the link braking with the optimized front and rear proportion, while the rear brake is being applied by the rider. So they have an update here that makes this better. And this is applied under warranty or for free if you complain about it. So if you go to your dealer and you say, I really have trouble with my rear brake, it seems to really grab hard and grabs the front brake, they can apply this. And apparently with this update, they've smoothed it out, so it works a lot better. So you can see here, they have to hook up the digital technician, so this is not an update you can do by yourself. And then it walks them through how to apply the update. And then down here it notes all the vehicles effective. So basically the 2023 3.5s and the 24 Road Glide, Street Glide, and CVO versions. And of course the 2025. So this was not included with the 2025. So this is a recent improvement. So you'll need to go to your dealer and they can apply it. And it says for vehicles under factory warranty only, file a warranty claim, completing the work, and note the customer's concern in the comment section of the chain. So I do believe you can get this update done for free, even out of warranty, but as the customer, you're gonna let them know you're having issues with your rear brake and it feels like it's grabbing the front brake really hard. One other thing I brought home with me from Australia is the Australian Football League.
Right, but it's all about the finish. 2 straight so far.
So it's fall over there right now, and they're going into winter, which means Australian Football League is kicked off. And we discovered this game watching TV while we were there, and I'm hooked. So now that the NFL is not in season because it's summer here now at the time of this video, I can watch the Australian Football League, and you'll find it on Fox Sports. So take a look. I highly encourage you to check it out. It's an amazing football game, otherwise known as footy. In my next video, I'm going to have a very special guest on this channel. So I encourage you to subscribe and stay tuned. But I really want to thank you for tuning in and supporting this channel and supporting me. A special thanks to Manuel and Campbell for reaching out and meeting me in Australia. I couldn't thank you guys enough. You were both a special highlight to my trip. Well, I really hope you found this information useful, and if you did, you go share it with someone else. But until next time, in the Friction Zone.